Greetings, everyone. Listen, I'm on a mission and I'm going to entertain some of you individuals who reach out to me because, as is your goal, so is my purpose. Okay. Now, in this video, the question is, who feels sorry for the woman? Because a lot of us have a lot of pity, a lot of empathy to give when it comes to men. OMG, we feel so much compassion for them. And I'm going to ask you a few questions in this. Listen, the woman who bore her children for one man, who have dedicated her life to her children and her husband, and at the end of the day, when she's 60, she has to see a man pack his bags and suddenly find out that she's no longer what he's looking for. She's not the person he thought she was after 35 years. You know, this is when the man gets to the midlife crisis and decides that, you know what he has on his arm no longer compliments him. Now he has to go out there and find a younger woman. All your life, you were his struggle wife. You stayed with him. You support him. You love him. And then suddenly he decides, this is not what I want. This is, and of course, people have a right to change their mind. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, who is mourning for that woman? There's so many people who are coming to me now in my inbox and they're feeling sorry for a man that didn't feel sorry for himself. Now, again, I'm going to say what people decide in their relationship is up to them. But I'm going to speak for the ladies, the woman who, as soon as she told the man she was pregnant, he was nowhere to be found. As soon as she said, I'm carrying a baby, all of a sudden he has all kinds of problems in the world. All of a sudden he realized she's a Jezebel. He didn't know she was this bad person until she started to show signs of pregnancy. What about the lady who had to raise her children by herself? Let me stand up in the room and put my hand up. Had to raise 2 small children by myself, and no one felt sorry for me. No one felt pity for me. I couldn't feel sorry for myself. I couldn't feel pity. I had to find myself in school. I have to, bring myself to work. I had to do what I needed to do to raise 2 small children. Where were the ones knocking the tambourine? There was nobody knocking tambourine for me. I had to know what was good for me, and I had to just say, okay, this is my value. This is my work. This is what I desire. I couldn't feel sorry for myself. A lot of women don't have the opportunity to feel sorry for themselves. They give birth today, and tomorrow you see them pushing, stroller and have small children. They got to go to the supermarket. And I'm not saying they're not good men, because listen, I happen to be in a relationship with somebody who I can consider an awesome father. Again, I understand some of these men, they didn't have any role models in their life, and so they don't know what it is to be attached to anybody. But for the crowd coming out worrying about these men saying how a woman is supposed to put aside her life, sacrifice her well-being. We're going to have these conversations, people. So, my inbox is flooded with women who are sharing their stories, women who have wasted their lives and their time with men who are not worth their time. They were not worth their time. I'm telling you, I could have left that ex-husband of mine a year after, and that would have been staying too long. We are feeling sorry for men. Men who have the opportunity, even when they're good men, can set aside the role of being a father because there's something else that they have to do. And that doesn't make them bad men. I'm just saying their commitment to even taking care of the family, going out there and doing the work is great if they are breadwinners. But when does the mother get to set aside her role as a mother? When does she get to set aside her role as a wife? When does she get a chance to have a slow day, a low day? Very few men will support you when you're having these days, when you're questioning your worth, questioning your value, questioning what you want to do with your life. How many men have responsibility in their household and they leave it entirely upon the backs of women? And how many women have raised children on nothing, only to watch these children run out and look for a father who abandoned them? So don't come here in this shop and try to get me to feel sorry for a man that made choices that he has to live with. Every woman who has been ever been violated have the right to choose the decision to make, to go or stay. I will always say that. But it's entirely up to these individuals, okay? Because we as women, we don't get to pause, and let's leave that for now. We're always asked to drink our feelings, to accept the men for the things that they do. They're men. Men will do this. Women actually justify and say, oh, men will cheat. Men can cheat. They don't have to. Men who say, I don't want kids. I didn't want kids. Well, why didn't you wrap it up? Do we get to say we don't want kids? We say we don't want kids, and then when we find ourselves in that situation, for the most part, women will carry that baby. When I was pregnant with my second child, I was in my second year of university. The timing was not the best, and the child was due in February. Anybody who goes to university know that's reading week. That's a time when, you have a lot of exams. I was pregnant, and another lady was also pregnant the same time as me. She chose not to have her baby. I had mine. She still dropped out because I guess with the stress and everything that was going on with her and her decision, she was feeling guilty about doing this. I personally don't believe in, that sort of termination thing for myself personally, but I don't judge anybody. And at the same time, I say to myself, let me not find myself in a position where I have to think about this, because you never know your circumstance or the situation that you're in that force you to make decisions that you normally wouldn't make. So if there's going to be a cheering squad, I'm going to be on the cheering squad for the single mother. I'm going to be in the cheering squad for the woman who didn't choose to be single, because listen, not every single mother was careless and just decided to just, have unprotected sex and not understand the repercussions. There are a lot of women who are single women because they were married and they got divorced. There are other people who are single women. They're still single regardless their divorce or whatever, or their partner pass away. We don't get to feel sorry for herself and just lay down. It's eventually other women and men will tell you, get over it and move on. Cry me a river. I'm feeling empathy for the woman who oftentimes sometimes do things out of desperation. So even some of the women we label, sometimes the position they find themselves in. Can you imagine having your children and you cannot feed your children? And when you look, you see your partner, the father of your children, walking hand in hand with another woman and her children, and your kids go hungry. I've heard those stories, very intimate stories with people who are very close to me. I know women who have one auntie and they stay with the one auntie and they push their men and they encourage the man and they put him out there. And then at the end of the day, when he's established, she's no longer good enough for him. She's too fat, belly too big, the JJ not nice enough. And off he goes. What about the woman's pain and struggles? These things happen to men too. But I'm addressing the people who are coming to me saying, no matter what the scripture says, and then using that scripture to say, if the woman remarries, she commits adultery. So let me ask you a question. When the man was going out, wasn't he committing adultery? Yeah. Even if you think it, you already commit adultery. And some of these men and women alike are so brawling with it. But we're talking about faithful women Women who, men chase after, the man chase after you for years. And when you're giving to these men, they just use and abuse and discard. Men chase after you like you're gold. And the moment they start digging that gold, OMG, and you cry, and you can only cry for so long before the other women and other people start telling you, carry on. So we don't want to be biased over here and start talking about men and blah, 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 because the men, when they're going about their business, they're not thinking about you. In fact, if you cry too long, they start saying you're bothering them and justify why they leave. So, as a man has a right to say, this is not working out for me and he's gone, as hurtful as that might be, the woman also has the same right to do the same. And I'm going to say something here, and you guys are not going to like it. But I'm a mother of 3 children, and let me tell you, I have adult kids. And I have had to say to myself recently, you're all grown. I gave you the tools that you need now. Go dig. Because I got one younger one. My focus of my attention should be on that younger one. And I love my children, but I realize that children nowadays love themselves perfectly. They're not going to allow your little situations to interrupt their lives. They're going to live their life. If it means that if they stay close to you, they're going to feel guilty, they move far away so they don't have to see it. Love your children and raise them in the right way. But don't be attached to them or men, because they're not going to be attached to you for the most part, and neither are these men. The only attachment you need to be forming is the one, again, I'm repeating, the one with the Most High. When everybody use you and abuse you and abandon you, reject you in any form, you can say, you know what, at least I still got my God, if it's what you say. What about the woman who gave everything, lost everything because of a man? I'm not feeling pity for any man who have done wrong. If his partner stays, bless her up. If the partner goes, so let it be. If you decide to stay or go, it's up to you. I'm having this is a part 2, because these messages are coming in and I'm telling you, they're upsetting my spirit. Okay, because a lot of you women who are talking this nonsense is because you don't have the courage to leave. That's why you want to force other persons to stay in the mess. And if you decide to stay in these messy situations and you want to forgive, that's up to you. But if the woman says, I need a break to just think, a woman should get a break to think after these things happen, to recalculate and to force the man to take responsibility for his actions. Love yourself before you can love anybody else. Anybody who is violating you and hurting you and abusing you and rejecting you and, in any way. And you just let them just come right back in with just some dumb ass. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, my ass. Sorry should be an action word, not something you speak. Stay blessed, everybody.